video. I'm Bethany and you're joining me for squat prepping. This is a very important concept that comes up a lot in the forums, and it's something I realized we need to do some more education about because it's very hard for most people to just drop into a full squat, okay, without there being some pain or some tucking or some compensation patterns happening. I have my own set of compensation patterns, and if you have a distinguished eye, you might be able to tell me what you just saw. But please note, I know what they are. I'm working with a physical therapist with it. Highly recommend all of you, if you find that you have things that you discover about your body as we go through this video, that you find yourself a really qualified local expert to work one-on-one with so that they can talk to you about your body and assess and analyze what's happening within your own set of skills. Okay, so we're gonna highlight just a few things that you can do pre-squat to improve your squat while it's happening. In fitness, this is considered a squat, okay? But the reality is that most people in this world live here in this position, and they have full mobility up here to do stuff, right? And they're able to move fairly easily in and out of that position. They take it for granted. Meanwhile, we have chairs. So we have taken away that ability. Now, if you're watching this video for the umpteenth time, feel free to fast forward through this explanation process. But right away, I want to jump into one thing you can do with the dumbbells that you have laying around the house. And that is simply place them in places where you're not going to trip over them, but where you can just passively start stretching your calves, okay? And you know, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're in the kitchen stirring things, get those calf stretches going, all right? If you're able to, try to do both feet at once. But if that wants to knock you backward, that is a sign of super tight calves. It's really hard to squat if your heels always want to pop up, right? And a lot of people will initially squat from this position. There's nothing wrong with this position, but it fails to give you a good stretch. Okay, it also fails to really open up your hips the way that they're designed to. And it also puts more pressure on the knee joints. The goal is to be able to get you to rock back onto your feet, toes straight, and be able to relax here. Now, can you see I'm like, ooh, I'm still working on this aspect of it myself. So one tip that I want to offer you is if you're struggling with that, take your dumbbells. You can also use a block of wood and put your heels on them, make sure they're not gonna roll on you, right? And you're gonna work on figuring out how low you can get into a squat, right? With now that weight underneath your heels. And look at me, I have so much more mobility in this position. Why is that? I have tight calves like most people in cultures that sit in chairs a lot, right? And so I've also worn a lot of shoes that have a heel on them. So initially you might need to hang out with some type of a block underneath your heel. Now for me, this is still putting some pressure across the front of my knee, and that's not a good thing. So I'm not gonna hang out here very often. I'm only gonna be here for as long as I'm comfortable. As soon as I'm not comfortable, I'm gonna come up. And there's a couple ways to do that. You can lean forward and go buns up, and then tummy in tight, round up slowly, or you can stand straight up out of that squat, okay? Squatting can be difficult. Another thing that I've been learning about, that's a really neat tool, is finding something that's long, like a foam roller or a rod. I know that growing up, my parents had this rod that they put in our sliding glass patio door because the door didn't lock, so there was this wooden dowel. So you could use something like that. And you're just gonna put it behind you, and you'll notice that if you lift it a little bit and then you squat back and you try to touch your bum to that, it helps you to learn how to get your hips back, right? You're trying to keep your bum against that rod or working on shoulder flexibility, lifting that up and really trying to get those hips back. And you can see how that starts to stretch open through your core and pelvic floor. If you're struggling with this, a lot of people when they first start to squat will do knees forward because they also are stuck in knees forward down here, okay? So the first time you watch this video, you're probably gonna do a lot of looking and pondering. As you keep going through it, I want you to start practicing these motions that I'm doing along with me and playing with how they feel in your own body, okay? Another thing you can do if you have a thicker foam roll or even a pillow, and I'm gonna show you with both, is you can put this very carefully behind you and then figure out where, it'll kind of lodge itself. You might need to kind of hold it in position, right? And just hang out right here, okay? And I'm kind of holding this because this one's more slippery. So that just allows you to kind of open up as well. Like I said, you can also use a pillow. So you just tuck it underneath your buns, right? And of course, at first you kind of want to go like this. So you right away need to untuck your buns and then get it right into your knee and then hang out here. Now, yeah, my heels aren't down, but whoa, it takes a lot of pressure out of my knees. And wow, I could hang out here for quite a while. If I've got some balance, whoa, then I could also take away that factor and just be right here, okay? So allowing my body to relax in this position is gonna be really important for me being able to relax without these props here. Do you know what I mean? And right now you're not necessarily thinking about your core, your breathing, you're just figuring out this aspect of your squat. So go ahead and stand up out of that. Another two things I'd like to address is your shoe wear, okay? And something I have really been trying to do over the past couple of years is switch to more minimal footwear. Now, this is one of the shoes in my progression. I also have some 5-finger shoes, but those aren't for everybody. I don't wear flip-flops anymore because I've learned that they create kind of an extra gripping pattern to hold on to them. That's why little kids can't keep those on very well, because they just don't have that extra gripping pattern. And that can cause dysfunction and create more tightness in your calf, which then affects your squat. And if your squat isn't doing well, you're gonna have more core and pelvic floor problems, because squatting is one of the best exercises for naturally activating your pelvic floor and your core. So when you're considering a shoe, your shoe needs to be bendable. Do not put money into a stiff shoe, all right? And you might have high arches like me, and that's great, okay? Your foot is supposed to have an arch. There are some people that disagree with that, and you're welcome to have a great discussion in the comments about it. However, healthy feet, as they do research on them, will have a good healthy arch, okay? That way your body can absorb shock. The problem is when we wear stiff shoes, the shoe does the job that our bones and muscles in the feet are supposed to do, and then those bones and muscles start to collapse and get weak, just like your core. So if you cannot wiggle the toes of your shoe, you need to swap out your shoes the next time you buy them, all right? You should also have a shoe that really has a good roomy toe box. But ideally, we're really not designed to live in shoes. We're designed to walk around barefoot and to get calluses. As a mom, have to quiet myself when I see my kids running barefoot, because I think they're gonna get bee stings and but they have got tough little feet and they will run across rocks, and it's good for them. There's 25% of your bones and muscles are in your feet, and that's just crazy. They're not very big, but they serve a massive purpose. So keeping your feet healthy and doing things with your feet and deliberately walking across uneven surfaces. And if you are gonna put in a tile surface in your house, putting in something that has a pebbly floor so that it stimulates different part of your feet, getting some of those wooden massage things that you can leave laying around. I'll try to post a picture later, so you can massage your feet with those. And then the last thing I wanna show you is you can also use a wall to really work on improving your squats, okay? And you do that by just coming up to a wall and getting your body up against it, okay? And then walking your feet out, but keeping your hips back. And you wanna slowly be able to drop down and just keep repositioning so you can see your toes. Shoulder width apart, right? Abs engaged for this one. Keep breathing, head back against the wall so you're also getting a really great posture aspect. I have to remind myself of that. Just hanging out here. Watch a show. Read a book for a little while. Teach your kids a verse. Whatever it is you want to accomplish, but just work on hanging out here and then try to get a little bit lower. Keep adjusting your feet, try to keep your natural spinal curves. Eventually, you should be able to sink all the way down, right? Now it's really hard to push up against a wall that has kind of a popcorn texture, so I'm gonna brace myself and come up the other way. But you get the idea that if you just flat go into a squat, it can be really hard to get it right. But there's a lot of ways that you can work on different parts of your squat. And I'm gonna link to some other articles from this video routine from some other experts that talk about squatting and different ways to approach it, because I'm not the only crazy one out there talking about this. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that I've opened your mind to some new ideas. You are blessed and released. Squat prep. You're gonna edit that part out, right?
No, I keep the squat prep stuff.
All right.